set up and it would go swimmingly. It didn't. Hello everyone, welcome to What Is It You Want? The show where I have very little idea what's going on. You've got as much idea as me, really. My mum, before this started, she's like, have you got a theme for tonight? It's like, don't ask me about it. I do not have a theme for any night. The whole theme is I do not have any theme at all. And yet again, I've fallen off this. Try and make it so that the light is not shining in. I fell off my tuffet. Oh, that was very inelegant. Yes, I've got to tuff it, like Miss Muffet. See, I don't have any curves and whey. Little bit uncertain about dairy, so I really wouldn't. So how is everybody? How have you been this fine and lovely week? It's been up and down, hasn't it? Things have gone wrong, things have gone right. It's all meh. I put things, quite irrelevant things sometimes, on the internet and people go, oh, that's pointless, that's a first world problem. It's like, yes, it probably is, but it's my problem, not yours. So you want a problem, you post about it. It's probably going to be worse than mine, and I'll sympathise. But that doesn't mean that you can't be sympathetic to my meaningless, pointless problem. Just go, all right then. I just need someone to listen, usually, most of the time. Hello. One person then, one like. That's a good start. Not a bad start at all. So, I've still got the one like, but the one person's gone away. That one strummy guitar was too much for them to bear. Too much. Hello again. Oh, I never left from yesterday. Exactly. I slept on the floor. I got a different top on. It's a completely different top. So I've definitely gone somewhere. Where have I been? Over there, mostly. Sitting on the sofa, watching videos about terrible accidents that happen to people. It's very grim. You've seen them lots of videos on YouTube about horrible things that can happen to a person. Really terrible, tragic things, but somehow you can't help watching them and going, oh, I'm so glad that didn't happen to me. And that's what I'm doing. I'm like, it could be worse. Could be worse. Oh, there's a lot of, I would never go down a cave. They're very, very scary caves. They're very scary. All sorts of things that could happen in there. There's stalactites and stalagmites, and you might think, yes, did you? Oh, bad things can happen. But all the freak accidents, you're like, no, not the freak accidents. They're even worse than the ordinary ones. Because the ordinary ones can happen to anyone, but the freak ones, you've usually done something a little bit inadvisable, or not quite what you usually do, and then it happens, and then you go, oh no, why did I do this thing? I'm really, really sad that I had an adventure, because adventures are the worst. Don't have an adventure, just stay in your... I mean, freak accidents can still happen in the comfort of your own home. They can happen anywhere, that's why they're freak accidents. But it's even worse when you've done something, you think, that's going to be exciting and fun. Oh, that's a trip of a lifetime, and then it happens. It's worse, because then there's nothing you can do about it, and it's happened, and you're like, oh, if only. So that's basically what I've been doing all evening, going, no, and scaring myself into just sitting on the sofa, which is by far the safest place. And also looking at things that I can buy on. Like, I put in a bid for some land. It was cheap land. And I didn't really put, I was just like, I'm just inquiring about it. I had no intention of buying it because I don't really have the money. But I went to see it anyway because it was just up the road, and I was like, yay, look at that. And then I was like, can I have more information? And they sent me information, and then they phoned me out of the blue yesterday going, oh, well, somebody else has put in a bid. Do you want to put in a bid? And I'm like, well, I don't really have the money to put in a bid. You better just take it. And it's gone now, so I can't have it. So it was a fairly cheap piece of land, but still more than I had. But good luck to the person who's going to have it. There's a lot of trees. I couldn't do anything with the trees. Because I'd have to just, I'm not a tree surgeon. I can't cut down trees and skip and jump. I do like to press wildflowers. And very occasionally I put on women's clothing, but not very often. As you can see, it's just general sort of all-person wear. Well, anyway, yes, so this is my show. What is it that you want? What is it that you want? I've gone on about freak accidents already. That's very much what I wanted to talk about. I didn't have any intention of, but it's just what happens. So, yeah, these are the things. I've no idea whether this will end up being a terrible disaster. I think most of them have been on the verge, but sort of pulled through in the end. The sport of buying and selling houses is called flipping houses. Yes, flipping houses. Exactly, flipping houses, and that's what it is. But there used to be a thing called gazumping. You put in an offer for something, and then somebody would undercut you or overcut you or say, yeah, I'll just put in a little bit more. And I think that's what they were trying to do with the auction. Gazump the person that put in. I was like, I was going to go for the lowest offer if at all. I wasn't going to do it. I was just like, yeah, because it was like, that's about my limit. I think I can probably get a loan for that, but it was pie in the sky. I wasn't going to do it. They're like, oh, it's a couple of thousand more than that. I'm like, yeah, no. Because there's a lot of trees, as I say. Trees. So yeah, gazump, 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 gazump. It sounds like something an elephant would do. Gazump, 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 gazump. Or something else in the zoo, like a gnu. Or is it a gnu? I don't know. Do you? It's very much confused by the song from ages ago. I think it was Flanders and Swan, where they called it a canoe, and could they be wrong? I don't know. Is it a canoe or is it something else? Like a maybe all the letters are silent, and then it would be a... Because when all the letters are silent, there's not really much left, is there? Anyway, so it could have been a gnu. I don't know. But gazump, 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 gazump. I didn't gazump because I'm far too polite for that, and I do not have the money to gazump. No money to be had. But I'm looking at places like I'm like, oh, look. There's a bit of land in Cornwall. It's on a cliff. I could have Gorson Cliff as far as the eye could see. But I'm thinking that they probably were selling it because it's going to end up in the sea. End up as far as the sea could see. Galoop, galoop, galoop. Yes, Bugs Bunny. Yeah, Yosemite Sam and the Fud. Two of the people that Bugs Bunny had a love-hate relationship with. He used to run away from them, but he also used to dress up a lot and try to get them to chase him. So I don't really know whether he really wanted them to catch him. Is Bugs Bunny actually a him? I don't know. A long-haired galooch, yes, is that a type of hair? By talking about the gender of Bugs Bunny. I don't know. Do you? Not many people watch Bugs Bunny anymore, except in Space Jam and the sequel to Space Jam, which has got they've got a girly bunny in there who's redesigned for the sequel. It's like, why make such a... Keep it. Bugs Bunny is great. I used to be a big fan of Bugs Bunny. My favourite Bugs Bunny is What's Opera Doc. I'm trying to show it to somebody and they're like, you're weird, but What's Opera Doc is really good. It's got all of Wagner. Yes, it's got a lot of Wagner music. La 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 la. So it's all operatic. And it's got Bugs Bunny dressed as a Valkyrie. So the thing is about Wagner is Wagner has got a bit of a reputation for being a little bit on the interesting side. Yes, he was very beloved of, I think it was Ludwig, the Mad King. I went to Ludwig's castle when I was younger with a school trip. We were going to go and see the Whereas at Berchtesgaden Garden, budgeted fogged in. So instead we went to see, we went to see Obramigo and all of that place. And then we went to see Ludwig's Castle. And Ludwig. And yes, Kiel de Wabit, exactly, that's it. Anyway, we went to see this and we were very excited. We walked up the hill and it's like, ooh, it's really good. And then we found out that the teachers hadn't bothered to pay for our entry in there. We would have to pay for it ourselves. And we were like, no, because we were like 12 or 13. It's like, so we came all the way there. And then I walked down the hill with my friends and we were supposed to go somewhere else afterwards. But we walked what we thought was the good way. We walked down the hill and we got to the bus and they were like, you've been gone for hours and now we can't go where we wanted to go. It's like, well, that's interesting, but we would have taken that long if we'd actually seen inside the castle, 1, and 2, we didn't think we'd been that long. And 3, the teacher should have arranged it properly. It's not really our fault if we didn't get any, we would have paid for the entry if we'd have known about the entry. So that's that school trip for you. A complete disaster. It was a trip to Austria, but we'd gone to Germany, Bavaria for the day. Bavaria. And we also saw Lake Königssee, which is a great thing to see. Lake Königssee. It was lovely, it was shiny. Oh, and we also we went to Salzburg and we saw from far away places from The Sound of Music. The hills are alive from The Sound of Music. But we didn't go to them because, again, the teachers hadn't thought, oh, maybe they want to go and see it. So we were just standing at the top of the hill going, look, there's things that we could see if this had been a properly organised thing. And I almost went to Mozart's museum, but instead of that, I bought a chocolate bunny in a chocolate shop opposite because we didn't have the money for going to see Mozart's museum, but I did have enough money for a chocolate bunny and it was right about Easter. And I took the chocolate bunny home to my brother and when I gave it to him I was so happy, but it had melted. So it was a melted chocolate bunny, not Bugs Bunny. That would have been really horrible if I'd had a melted Bugs Bunny in my suitcase and I don't think I'd have put it through customs. But I might have done. I don't know really what customs think about that sort of thing. Oh, it's warm tonight. It doesn't look like it's warm. It's a balmy night. Somebody's balmy. It might be the night. Or it might be me. Hello. What's no good? Are you talking about the bunny, Sean? Yes, a melted bunny is no good. I don't think a melted bunny is a suitable gift for your little brother. And he was really annoyed at me. Even though I spent all my money on the bunny. When I could have seen the rest of Salzburg. Oh, and also somebody was busking in the square. And somebody said the person busking in the square was a famous person from the 60s, but I don't know and I can't remember who it was. But it was a famous person from the 60s and the teachers knew who it was. And I felt really sorry for the man from the 60s who was famous and now he was busking in the middle of the square. But maybe that's what he wanted to do there. I don't know who Grace Slick is, but it wasn't the man in the middle of the square. The man in the middle of the square was something like, no, I don't think it was Donovan, because I don't think Donovan's around anymore. And it might have been Drake. No, it wasn't Drake, because Drake is considerably later than that. But it might have been Nick Drake. No, it couldn't have been Nick Drake, because Nick Drake was earlier than I went to Austria. I don't know who it was, but it was somebody who was allegedly famous, but not famous enough for me to know who it was. It could have been somebody really big. remember. It was very, very sad. Don't know who it was, but that's it. It wasn't somebody from... Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Alice in Wonderland. Yes. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, exactly. Wasn't somebody from the Beatles. I would have recognised somebody from the Beatles. I'm pretty sure it was more like somebody that sang solo. It wasn't Leo Sayer, but it was somebody like Leo Sayer. Could have been. I don't know. Somebody that obviously was hanging around in Austria in the time that we went when I was 12, which could have been any time in the last 700 years. When was I 12? In the year 26 AD. Because I'm an immortal vampire person, and that's why it's so badly lit in here. And that's why I can't be properly photographed, and I went blurry the other day. Haha, that's why I was pixelated. Can't really get me. Ha! I'm all over the place. That's probably why. So, but yeah, I was about 12 or 13 when we went to Austria. I was really surprised because it was a spa, not like a spa that you go in the nice spa bath and you have like salts and mud and stuff. It was like a spa corner shop, and this is like when you're 12, you focus on the wrong things. I remember getting a sort of packet of crisps that was in a tube, and they were barbecue flavour crisps in a tube. They were very much like Pringles, but they weren't Pringles. We didn't have Pringles. I can't remember having Pringles. So we were very impressed by that, having a spa in Austria that sold barbecue crisps. And that's the big thing that we took from the cultural trip from Austria. Were you? Okay. Maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm considerably younger than that, or maybe I'm not. I'm not going to confirm or deny either way. I'm either 110 million years old or 14. Somewhere between that. Something like that. Yeah. So I don't do age. I revealed my age to somebody in work who I thought realised my age, because I thought that they were the same age as me and they turned that age, and I was like, oh, right, yeah. And then I thought that they realised. I thought they were older than me, and it turned out, no, they're younger than me, and they thought I was younger than them. And I was like, oh, okay. Probably shouldn't have told you how old I am then. Somewhere between 10 million and 14. I look about 8 years younger than 14. I look 7 or 6. I look 6 years old, exactly. I look 10 years younger than 110 million. Is that what you're saying? Oh, I'm flattered, thank you. Yes, about 8 or 10 years younger than 110 million. Thank you very much, Sean. So, there's lots of things we can talk about, and none of it has been talked about quite yet. But we can talk about any of it. And we try another chord. We'll try another chord. Oh, that's a nice one, isn't it? Oh, that sounds almost David Bowie-like. I can't... There's a song that sounds like that. That's like, ooh. Wow, that almost sounds like a real song. Oh, thank you, Sean. It's probably because I can't be photographed properly being an immortal vampire. Just all over the place. I'm ageless. Ageless to all the ages. Yeah. So I've had a nice day. Doing very little. Yesterday we went to the canal, I think I mentioned that, and today I didn't go to the canal, it was horrible. I didn't even leave the house, I just stayed here. Going back to London next week. I've only got 3 more of these shows, including this one, and then a little bit of a break, and then I'll be back in London in no time. Ooh, London! And I've actually booked to go places. I don't know whether it'll happen, because nothing's gonna happen and everything gets cancelled, but I'm gonna hope for a good time at some point. All being well, me being careful, everybody being really, 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 really careful. But I'm gonna go. I've got a poetry gig. Oh, a poetry gig at the end of October. So let's see how that goes. I've no idea. Out in the open air. Not in the open air, but out in the open, in the wild somewhere. That's not in my house. That's a novelty. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so, yeah, the mice and rats have disappeared from outside my parents' house. Which is quite sad for the mice and ratses, because they must have gone somewhere else. Heaven, possibly. I don't know. Oh, but they probably appear quite soon. They were climbing up trees and eating apples and everything. Oh, yes, my dad did get to watch all the 100s. He watched them all, and now he's watching the pigs in the other room. Or maybe he's just watching cricket. Other cricket. Cricket is on all the time now. Did they do open air gigs? Yes. I think they tried open air gigs in Britain, but they all went wrong and had to be cancelled. Because it rains a lot in Britain, you know. It rains all the time. Rains absolutely all the time. So it's not really practical. Of the week, there's not 8 days in a week unless you're the Beatles, and I think they were joking about that. It rains on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It rains all the time. That's more than 7 days because I repeated them. I went back again. That's how the week goes. It's how time goes. It just gives, it's not the same time, but it keeps repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating, but it's not the same time. It just feels like the same time. Time passes and you don't notice it because it just goes round in a circle, round in a circle. You don't say Mac for raincoat, no, but we do say sometimes Mac for raincoats. But I don't think many people wear Macs for raincoats. They tend to wear anoraks instead. Not a Mac, but an anorak instead. No, not so many anoraks really. Mostly, you see people and they don't want to use, they want to look cool, so they don't use umbrellas and they don't have raincoats. They just wear their t-shirts and go, oh no, I can cope with the rain, and then they get in and they go, I'm so cold and wet, and then they wonder why. Because that's human nature for you, isn't it? That is human nature for you. Yes, so I don't know what everybody wants. So far we haven't had any real themes for this show. I've just been warbling and burbling, but that's pretty much all of the show so far. That's the news this week, that we're going to have a terrible Christmas and we won't have anything to eat. Oh no! Don't really like turkey anyway. I'm not a not meat eater, I'm just not a meat eater. I don't really eat meat. But, you know, it's like, if it's there and there's nothing else to eat. But I would prefer not to, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't eat really milk or eggs or meat, but I'm not so much a vegetarian and a vegan. It's just I don't eat them. It's not that I won't eat them, I just don't eat them. So I don't know what I'll do at Christmas time. I don't even know, because I didn't go last year at Christmas. I just stayed in my house in London and I saw none of my family and we did nothing. And I just sat there. There wasn't even a Christmas Doctor Who last year. It was like, if I could invent an umbrella that, well, yeah, an upside down, an invisible umbrella. They do have invisible umbrellas in the way. They're see-through ones. You can see through them. But it tends to be tiny children that have those. But yeah, an invisible umbrella would be a good idea. You can have it and still look cool. You can have it and not look like a fool. You can have it and still keep dry. Kept dry, keep dry. An invisible umbrella would be something to have. An invisible umbrella on your head. No, I remember when I was about 6, I was walking home from school and I said, I don't think Santa Claus exists. And the adults went, ha ha ha, yes, you're right. And I went, no, why did you have to confirm it? I was only joking. I was being cynical for a 6-year-old. I wanted to believe. And now I don't believe anymore because you admitted it was all a big lie. A big lie. So I didn't really believe in Santa Claus for very much, really. And everyone admitted. Just the thing is, like, when you go, I don't believe that Santa Claus exists. Of course he exists. Of course he exists. And you keep up the lie and you keep up the pretense and you get all the presents and you have a lovely time and that's the Christmas sorted. But then again, maybe you shouldn't lie to kids in the first place and then they won't be jaded and thwarted. So don't lie about Santa Claus. Just never even say about Santa Claus. Just pretend that all the Santa Claus stuff never happened. Just go, yes, me and your dad and your mum and your uncle and your aunt and your gran and your nan and your grandpa and your nancha. All the people that you know. All the people that you know spent all the money that they had on you, and you should be grateful and not think it's magically put there by a man with a big white beard. Cause he isn't there, and actually he's terrifying, is Santa Claus. Santa Claus is really scary when you start to think about it. Santa Claus is a great big monster man with a great white beard, and he should be somewhere in somebody's nightmares, not in the middle of your chimney. And that's probably what Santa Claus should stay. Just because, you know, I think Krampus, I think some people believe in Krampus, which he's a sort of like evil Santa Claus. It's like, well, that's just Santa Claus then. Santa Claus, you know, if you've got the idea that there's some sort of magical creature giving you everything you want, then you're going to carry on expecting things to happen to you that are all amazing and magical, and you get what you want. So I never really got what I wanted. I think when I was a kid I wanted a girl's world. A girl's world was a head with hair that went out when you screwed in the back of it. A girl's world was something a little bit macabre, like a sort of decapitated head with the hair coming out, and it grew and then you cut it and then you realise when you cut it that it just keep growing and you got a decapitated head with no hair on it. But I never got one anyway, so it's just as well. Never got one. And, you know, I'm like, yeah, I never really wanted one, but I did. Why can't I have the girl's world? I would go, oh, you don't want a girl's world. It's a stupid toy. They would go. And meanwhile, my brother got an electronic Evel Knievel doll that did backflips. And he got a car that did battery-controlled stuff. All sorts of amazing tricks. And then what I got was a skipping rope and a pack of nail files, and he got all the good toys, like an action man that had eyes that went side to side like that, and I didn't get one like that. But when I was about 11, I got a Cindy doll. Or maybe I was only 7. I don't know, but it was my first Cindy doll. And it did ballet and it sort of moved. And I got it for my birthday. And then my cousin sat on it, but pretended he hadn't sat on it. And it broke and I got a replacement that didn't move, which was nowhere as good. But everyone said you should be grateful, even though my cousin broke it. And that was my Cindy doll. I never got a Barbie until I was an adult. And now I've got loads of Barbies in boxes in the attic that I never play with them. They're not worth anything, but I never take them out of the boxes or play with them, even though I should, because then I'd have lots of dolls to play with. But they're nowhere as good as the Evil Knievel, which did tricks, but wasn't evil. Do you remember Evil Knievel? I don't think he's alive anymore, but he was pretty cool. Also, I dragged out my brother's Action Man and pretended he was a single mother from Birmingham. And my brother wasn't very happy with that. Not at all happy with that. I did, and also I got like a new head for my Cindy doll, and it had red hair, and I was really happy. And then I cut the hair off to make it into a punk, and then I went, oh no, because then it didn't have any hair except. It was like, oh no, it was a red-headed Cindy doll that's so rare, and I cut off the hair, and then it doesn't grow back. It doesn't grow back like a girl's world didn't really grow back. You think it does? Oh, it's grown! Cut, cut. Oh no, it's not grown anymore. Yes, some dolls can be very scary. Exactly. Like some dolls, like my puppet, can be very scary. I mean, can you imagine having a doll like that in your Christmas stocking? Can you imagine? You don't have to imagine, you can see it. That's what you got for Christmas. Everyone thinks they got something for Christmas that's nice, and that's what comes in the stocking. Not nice, yes. Well, when you think about it though, no, it's just not just Santa Claus. I mean, we tell kids all these tales, all these things, these amazing things that happen, like the tooth fairy. The tooth fairy will take the tooth that's fallen out of your head, that's all covered in gore and detritus, and it'll give you some money. You'll get money for your teeth. That doesn't happen when you're an adult. You don't get money for your teeth when you're an adult. That would be weird. Yeah, except like I think that's the most gory thing about the Les Miserables, the actual book. They don't show it so much in any of the dramatizations, but it's like the beautiful young girls that actually end up selling their teeth to and their hair. So she did sell, I think, one of her teeth in the one where Anne Hathaway was all like, aah! They did, I think she cut her hair off and sold one of her teeth. But in the book, they sell all of her teeth. She might have sold some teeth. Anyway, it's horrible. Ew, don't sell your teeth. It's not worth it. But that's what you're effectively doing when you're a child, is selling your teeth to a mythical creature. That's just asking for trouble. Asking for the mythical creature to come to your house and eat all your head. The entire head. Which wouldn't be so great, would it? No. I mean, you don't put other body parts underneath your pillow and expect money for it. Like $1 a tooth. Ah! What's happening there? See, the door opened of its own accord. That's scary. It's so ghostly. Like, ah! Tooth fairies come to get me. Take my hair. Maybe it's a hair fairy, a nail fairy, a toenail fairy. Can you imagine that? No. Actually, one time I walked too far and my toenails fell off. And they take a year to grow again. So don't walk too far, because that's what will happen to you. And it's not very nice. And you don't get money very bare toe. A very bare toe. You don't get bare toe. No. You don't get bare toes. Don't put them under your pillow either. It wouldn't be so... I don't even know where I got down. Why have I gone down this grim fairy tale route? Grim fairy tales. Grim fairy tales or Hans Christian Andersen. I used to love that when I was a child. Do you remember? Yes, it's a ghost. Do you remember that? Did you, Hans Christian? Because I saw the Danny Kaye Hans Christian Andersen film, and I don't know. It's from like the 40s or the 50s, but I don't know. When you're a child, everything is from now. If you see it, it's from now. And I didn't notice that it was all like old Technicolor type. It was just now. So when I see it, when I'm an adult, and I go, oh, that's really old looking. But when I was a child, it was like, oh, that's new. And it's going, inchworm, measuring the cabbages. That's what I think. It's not measuring the cabbages, is it? I thought he was measuring the cabbages. I don't think he is measuring. Inchworm, measuring the marigolds. Not cabbages. I don't know why I thought it was cabbages. But yeah, so Hans Christian Andersen. Hans Christian Andersen, it's a grim tale. He was a very strange man. It's quite a strange, for a children's film, where he's obsessed with that ballet dancer and goes chasing after her. But there's like a series of like true stories that they put on Sky, and there's one of them where Hans Christian Andersen goes to visit Charles Dickens because he's a big Dickens fan and he won't leave, and Charles Dickens is trying to get rid of him for the whole time, trying to hide from him. It's quite amusing. But can you imagine being Hans Christian Andersen, and being really widely ridiculed, and nobody likes you, and everybody's trying to hide from you, like the ballet dancer's trying to hide from you, and Charles Dickens is trying to hide from you, so all you can do is write a terrible story about a woman that keeps dancing until her feet fall off. You can see why nobody really wanted to talk to him, really. That's grim! See, the Grimm fairy tales aren't anywhere near as grim as the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales, which are much more grim. I mean, they're all collected tales. Most of them are collected tales, except for Hans Christian Andersen made up his own fairy stories. So the grim fairy stories, the terrible fairy stories, the gory fairy stories from Hans Christian Andersen are from his own imagination, whereas everybody else has collected the folk tales from hundreds of thousands of years ago, all the folk tales that have got a reason for being grim from the beginning of time. They're stories about when people lived to be 20 if they were lucky, and it's like, oh, and fairies and monsters and genies and all sorts of stuff. But Hans Christian Andersen wrote these terrible things out of his mind. They're all very much like the terrible accidents. I mean, have you read The Red Shoes? Do you know The Red Shoes? It's like, oh, I'm a lovely pretty girl. Oh, I like dancing in a whirl. Oh, I dance and dance and dance and dance and dance and dance and dance. And it's lovely dancing. What's so wrong about dancing? Nothing. But Hans Christian Andersen thinks there's a problem with dancing. And he makes the girl dance, 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 dance. And he makes the girl dance, 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 dance. And he makes the girl dance, dance until the end. She dances and 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 she dances. And then her feet get really, really sore and she can't stop dancing until she can't take it. Can't take it anymore, can't take it anymore. And he keeps on dancing, she keeps on dancing, she keeps on dancing and she keeps on dancing and she keeps on dancing. And then she can't dance anymore. And then she dies. She goes to heaven without any feet after they've cut the feet off, because the shoes, the red shoes, just keep on dancing. It's grim. And they give this to children to read. It's a children's tale for children. Yes, that was St. Vitus dance. I remember when I was a child, if I jiggled my foot even a little bit, if I jiggled my foot just a little bit, my gran would go, you'll get St. Vitus dance. She said, my sister's cousins, auntie got St. Vitus dance. She definitely got St. Vitus dance. I looked up St. Vitus dance, and it's a disease from the Middle Ages, and nobody's had it since about 1426. And I don't think that my gran was alive in 1426. Pretty sure she wasn't, but she pretended she was, and she knew somebody that had had St. Vitus dance. She was a bit odd. She asked to go, stop moving around, you're like a wim-wham. I'm like, what's a wim-wham? She goes, it's like a piss-a-mire. And I go, what's a piss-a-mire? And she goes, it's like a wim-wham, where you just keep moving around. She didn't like people moving around, because you die of St. Vitus dance, then you're a piss-a-mire and a wim-wham. Stop being a wim-wham. I don't even know what a wim-wham is, but a piss-a-mire's an ant. And I don't think they move all about in quite the same way. I don't think so anyway. Piss-a-mire is an ant. A wim-wham is a nothing. And nobody in the last 600 years has had St. Vitus dance. A wigwam, yes, but it was no wigwam. It was a wim-wham, 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 wim-wham. I don't know what a wim-wham is, but apparently it moves a lot. Like a piss-a-mire. That was basically what my gran was always, don't move around, don't dance around, don't move around, why are you annoying me? I'm like, I'm just a child, leave me being a child. No, you're a wim-wham, a wim-wham-bam. So I don't think I was. I think I was just being perfectly reasonable. Even though I was, maybe I was a little bit frenetic as a child. Yes, a piss-a-mire is an ant, but I don't think it moves around all that much. But then again, my gran was an interesting woman who also thought that bread that you'd only toasted on the one side was called French toast. And that's what we used to get from her if we ever wanted French toast. Because apparently when she went to visit my auntie married a French person, she went to visit her and they gave her toast, and they'd only, for some reason, toasted it on one side. And it was toast and it was in France. Therefore, that was French toast. Which makes perfect sense. Because it wasn't, because French bread is, interestingly shaped, and this was like Danish bread or something. It was like a loaf of bread. So they'd gone out of their way to find her Englishy style bread. English style bread, what they thought was English style bread, and they made it, and they made half toasted bread for her. So that was French toast for her. But that sort of bread that she used was slipseer, which was a Danish style loaf. When you go, it's a Danish style loaf to Danish people, they go, that's not what Danish bread is like. But in Britain, in that time, it was a sort of milk loaf. It was airy bread. Anyway, yes. Bigfoot. Oh, nobody's found Bigfoot. No. Nobody's found Bigfoot because Bigfoot's got quite a small foot, and so they're looking in the wrong place for Bigfoot. Because he's just wearing big shoes. That's why. Bigfoot's just pretending. He's putting the big shoes on like a little child with their parents' shoes, and he's just making the... And then you're like, ha ha ha, I thought it was Bigfoot. And it wasn't Bigfoot. It was just a small person with big shoes. All right then. Well, that's me for today. I know the theme again, as usual, is like, what was that theme? I don't know. What is it you want? I don't know whether you wanted any of that, but that's what you got. We've got 2 more shows coming up from this, tomorrow and the next day. So if you want to think of some themes and come to me tomorrow and tell me what you want, then it probably won't be exactly what you wanted, but it'll be somewhere in a very close, near approximation. In the vicinity. And like and subscribe and all of that jazz, because every time I post one of these I lose about 10 subscribers, so I don't know what's going on. I would like it if I got more rather than less. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.